A bunch of N8N workflows. In this video, I'm going to build a Next.js app to trigger these workflows. So I have this URL content retriever. This has a webhook. Webhook just means that I can send information to it from somewhere else, i.e. our Next.js front end. We're going to take that URL. We're going to scrape the URL, essentially the contents of it. We're going to extract out the text from that and then respond to Next.js. So let's go ahead and get started on this. I have cursor, so I actually need to create a new project. N8N workflow dashboard. Okay. All right, so I'm going to pull up AI here. I have some other projects that I want to lean on heavily to create this this project for us. Okay, so we are inside of, sorry, sometimes cursor is no fun. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to THT web, go back. Back again. What do we just call it? N8N. Okay. So now what I want to do is talk into here. So I want to create an Next.js application that will serve as a dashboard for me personally to call my N8N workflows. N8N, I have N8N workflows that are triggered by a webhook. So therefore I have a URL that I can give you. Or we can set on the front end, and then I want to trigger the workflow. I want to wait for the workflow to finish, and then the workflow will respond back with the contents of the website. So essentially, we have an N8N workflow that, given a URL, will scrape the website from it using Apify. It's one of its actors, and then it will return back the contents. So I want to create this Next.js application. So for right now, we don't have to worry about any data types or nothing. We're just gonna, for right now, just build a Next.js app that has a single page with a URL input, and then also another input that asks me to provide you with the URL for the webhook. So you'll take one input for the webhook, another one for the URL to search. So yeah, so that's the general idea. Now to build this, I have a set of rules for you, or rather inspiration for you. So in this workspace, you'll notice a couple things that are relevant. The most relevant will be the THT admin panel. THT-web. Okay. So this is happening for you, the viewer. This is happening because I just added this folder to this workspace and I haven't actually interacted with it yet. So in that case, the agent doesn't know it. So I just copy the path, right click on it. I can never memorize this, and then or really find it useful, I guess. And then maybe that's for accessibility, but and then I just paste it here. And now I'm talking in this dictation. You can see down at the bottom. This dictation will pick it up, and although it'll recognize that I'm talking to you, but it'll either remove it or the AI will just throw it away too. So yeah, back to the actual agent chat here. So I need you to look at THT Web Admin Panel and the source folder. In the source folder, you will find packages, app, components, hooks, API, lib, model, and store. All of our data is run. I guess we don't need this right now. What I need you to focus on right now is app. So we have app. We'll have app / whatever the landing page is, and then in that component, make a simple HTTP request. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. HTTP request, and yeah, just go from there. All right, so I got a big fat message. It will use this. Okay, I need some more stuff. So what I need you to do is look at that project, THT Web, By-Axis Web, Mentor AI, Web, Mentor AI, console. And I need you to determine how those Next.js projects are set up. I want TypeScript. I need Redux, and any of the other common packages. This is for Next.js. I said TypeScript. Okay, so yeah, just go and look at those 4 or 5 projects, see how they're set up, and then give me a list of commands. Don't run them yourself to create this Next.js app here. Okay, so then I gotta undo the chat. All right, so that's gonna run. Oh, I'm using Sonnet. Back up. Opus 4.5. Yeah, that's a new one. Yeah. Copy this case. Okay, so I'm fully expecting it to give me just a command to run to create a bare Next.js project. And then what we're going to do is create that through this command line inside of here. And then I'm going to right click into here, add the folder to the workspace, and then tag it in here, and then or copy and paste like this. And then we'll just pick up yeah, from there. So this might take a while. Let's see what else. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk through what I'm going to do. So I want to talk about like the next. Don't do anything. Don't code yet regarding this. I just want to give you some inspiration. Actually, let me back up. Back up. Okay, I'll analyze your existing Next.js. Blah blah blah. Tailwind. I forgot that. I'm glad I picked it up. Folder structure is good. Path alias is great. So we're in this folder that we created. We'll go ahead and do that. Hit your fine. I believe I didn't know last time. I do want this. That's about it though. Okay. So now I want to talk about the next steps. So this wants me to run this. Okay. So this is just saying, okay, here's the command to run to create the folder. Let me go ahead and actually add this like I was saying. Oh, I did npm install the wrong spot. That's funny. So I have this. What I need to do is actually close out this terminal because this terminal is inside of here, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just making stuff up, but it seems like sometimes there's like cache or reference issues or something like that. But now I can do it here. Okay. All right. So that's that. Go ahead and do that. So this is going to go ahead and create the Thunks stuff for us. It's going to get Redux stuff for us, which I'll get into. We actually don't need this. I just want the main web page. Then nah, let's just, for the sake of the video, keep it there. Okay. What I'm going to want to do is we're asking it to create a single page with a URL that we get two URLs two inputs that we can provide a URL for the webhook and then a field to provide it. What we want to build out to is a I want to be able to call X amount of workflows, and then from within those workflows, provide the URL and then for the webhook, but then also provide like a body or like multiple properties to it, because sometimes these webhooks require an object of data or a list of data. So being able to make that flexible would be good. And then I don't know where else we'll go past that, but we should be able to knock that out fairly quickly. Features, webhook URL, sounds good. Okay, so I'm just going to run this. That's going to give me 10, this sure, not with this one. Okay, so for the sake of this session that we're building this project in, I guess just moving forward, I'm doing this on like a portrait screen. So the designs need to be, kind of column focused. So yeah, just to, for visual sake. Okay, so this here, I'm going to click on localhost. That's going to pull me up in here. All right, very cool. So I have this. This is active. This is actually going to get out of here. We're going to do this. I'm going to save. Inside of here, we have a test URL and we have a production URL. We're going to copy that. I clicked on it. It copied it down here. I'm going to go over to here and paste it in here. And then the URL to scrape. Oh, this is cool. The URL to scrape. Let's see. What do I want to scrape? ESPN. Let's find the basketball game. See what Sixers are doing.
As much as we appreciate what our mechanics.
Okay, let me get out of that quick. Okay, so we'll see how this works. I haven't tried it with this. Maybe this blows up the video, but we will see. Okay, what I want to do is I'll actually show you this in real time. Instead of using the production URL, I'm actually going to press execute workflow, and that's going to give me this trigger event. And then we have this test event here. Yeah, much better. Okay, so now let's trigger the workflow and see what happens. HTTPS status 404. The server responded with a 404. Okay, let's see. Here is the URL that I was trying to. Here's the URL for the webhook, the test webhook. I'm getting an error for there being a 404. Okay, so this is, I was trying to keep it simple, but this is getting, I guess, a bit fancier. I don't know what it was doing before. I'm trying to think of how I can explain this because it's getting pretty crazy. Okay, so let me go back to the homepage. Source app, layout or page here. All right. So I will close this out and get to explaining here. So we have our home page. That's the one we were looking at, the fancy blue background. We have a handle submit button. That handle submit button is pressed down here from this handle submit on click button. We can see above here we have this input for the URL to scrape. We have this input for the webhook URL that we are calling. What's it? When we press this handle submit button, let's see what AI is having us doing. So we want to make sure that both are provided. Ideally, we do more sanitation and checking to make sure that like this is not corrupt or sensitive or whatever it is. But I'll just delete the webhook or change the webhook after this video, so I'm not too stressed about it. Then down here, we're in this try block, which essentially means like, hey, we're going to do something, but it might fall, it might crash. I'm just letting you know in advance. And then we have catch down here, which is just like, okay, I'm waiting for, whatever issue is going to happen. So up here, first step of the try. So the first thing we're trying that's dangerous, if you want to think about it that way, is that we're calling or we're fetching or we're saying, hey, the website with the URL API/trigger-webhook, I want to make a request. And this request is going to provide a body, and inside of that body, we're going to provide the URL for the webhook and the URL to scrape. Okay. I see what's happening. I see what's happening. All right. So, what I don't want to trigger this API slash, or maybe this is what they did before. Okay. Next.js did actually update this, so I'll explain why it's set up this way. I was going to get into a lecture about why it needs to be simpler, but I think the error that it was providing was telling me that it needs a bit more structure to it, which is okay. Maybe for security, it looks like that was a CORS issue, browser issue. We're essentially just saying Chrome or Google or whatever browser thing we're working with, takes extra steps to make sure we're not doing something stupid. And Next.js has ways to also help us not be stupid, so or dangerous, I guess. So that's kind of what my interpretation of it is. So we're going to do the simple way. Now we have to do a little bit of a fancy way. That fancy way requires that we set up a specific function, or it's called an endpoint, or like a local space within our application that is in charge of doing something. In this case, it's in charge of taking the URL for the webhook and making a request to the webhook to say, hey, look, I have this URL that I want you to scrape. Can you go and do that? And then it's in charge of waiting for, sorry, Rocco is all up my space. Then it's in charge of waiting for a response from the webhook, or in this case, the webhook or the workflow. And then it will be in charge of handling that response. So again, we have this function. It's labeled as, or exposed as, API/trigger webhook. The question is, where does this live? Next.js has an API folder, which, like, sometimes things with coding, it works like magic, right? And that's just, you use a certain development language because the magic that those developers who create the language decided should be magic are advantageous for you and your endeavors. One of the things for Next.js is it has this like front end API stuff, and I'm very basic knowledge with it, but that's why we have API/trigger webhook here. So if I go into here and I look at this route file, we're creating a post request. We're essentially just saying, hey, I have information for you to go do something. And that's like a very loose interpretation of post. I guess it necessarily wouldn't matter in this case. Maybe it's more of a get, if I'm being honest. But yeah. And what this is doing is this is actually saying, okay, I want to go and speak to whoever is at this webhook URL. So this looks good. We might have to mess with this a little bit, or really just, excuse me. We might have to mess with this a little bit, the request structure. But this is an unauthenticated N8N webhook, so maybe not. So let's go back to here and let's try this again. So I have this here. It probably timed out. Bad. Check your things. Sorry, Rocket is all up in my space. Listen for test event. Trigger the workflow. Still got a 404. So we got A. Oh, nice. Don't lie to me. Oops. Oh no, my history. Still got a 404. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. The old server is still running. Checking some cache. It's removing some cache stuff. It's going to kill this. Kill both of these. Okay, sometimes, yeah, it gets into these, creating these many terminals. Oh, I should have let it do that because it would have given the log response in there. Okay, so N8N dashboard, npm run dev, localhost. Get rid of this one, this one. Try this again. Maybe that timed out. Try this us. I'll just keep it open. What in the? So it's a get. Okay, maybe that's it. Looks about right. So this is whatever this is has to match with this, and this was post. The other one was get. I feel like that might be it. Okay, we're making error. We're getting errors now. Oh, I think it just didn't return anything. All right, so now I can take N8N here. I can't make this smaller. Okay. Let me see. Maybe go down a little bit. It'll be hard for you to see though. Okay, that's not good. But we can see in the body we have this URL and webhook URL. So I'm gonna execute this whole thing, and then we'll see if it waits. So it looks like we got a response. We're waiting, so it's kicking it off. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but we can start working on adding multiple N8N workflows. So let me go to the code. Great, so it's working now. What I need from you, what we need to do now is set up a local structure that uses async storage to, as well as Redux to store configuration for these webhook calls, right, or workflow calls. So for each of these workflows, we need a workflow type. We'll need a workflow dump slice. Make sure you check the other web projects and the src/store/dumps. Really check out all of the src/store folders. Those are the Redux folders in all of the web projects. You'll see we have dumps, we have config slices, we have builders, we have hooks, we have a store file, which is the main reducer. Maybe it's called the reducer file, I forget what it is, but go ahead and check that out because what we need locally is an src/model folder with some subfolders for workflow, which will have a property, the basic properties and ID will be created using the generate Firebase ID. Go and look for that in the other projects. We can hold off on that. We just do a random ID for now. I forgot we don't have Firebase yet. Where was I going next? Let me figure that out. That's why it's also great to talk, is because I can just easily go and look at what I was talking about here. I'm going to check it out because you need to locally. Okay. You can just use a temporary ID for right now. Again, we're just going to store these locally. But the workflow, we should have a workflow type, so therefore a workflow folder in model folder. We should have a workflows dumps slice. We should have a current workflow slice. So make sure you go and check out the current Redux folder stuff. And then we should also have a workflow request type, which will take in the URL, because we can change the URL in the webhook, but it should store the webhook URL that we use. And then also it should allow me to, when I'm on the current workflow page or detail page, it should allow me to send properties as the body. So instead of just passing a single property, like a single string like we do now, I want to be able to pass like a property, like an object essentially. So we need a UI to do that, to build this object essentially. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. Don't code yet. I want you to go and do your research and then give me a plan and a hierarchy and architecture overview of what you're gonna do. Okay. Opus is great. Sonnet was great too. GPT was good. Composer wasn't that great, if I'm being honest. I kept getting frustrated with Composer. I haven't tried Gemini 3. Grok, I feel like I was also getting frustrated with a couple weeks ago. So I switched back to Sonnet. Thank goodness I looked at that. App workflow. Okay. This is nice. So we have Read Expert. It's just the wrapper. These are the pages that we can navigate to. So we can navigate to um, well, is API supposed to be in app? I gotta. So I thought for Next.js routing, we src/app was for like the routes that the user can go to. Why do we have API/API and src/app? I have never agreed. It never hits, I guess, is what I'm trying to say for that whisper feature. Great question. Huh, interesting. I didn't know that. So it's saying they both like app is like a secured keyword. That magic I was talking about. Slash app is one of those like if you obey, it will work in a certain way, kind of thing. Sounds good. Okay, so what was I talking about before? I was looking at so Command B is going to close that for me. So I'm back up here. So I got model, I got workflow, workflow request, workflow execution. Execution, that's good. I want that. Packages. So it's essentially just like, hey, we made an attempt to run. This is what we sent, and this is the kind of data that we're looking for. Um, and then the request is going to give back a response. Okay, so let's see. So for the workflow stuff, the model folder, we should have model slash. So these are three different collections. Um, and then we also need a workflow response. So that's why I was going to, the purpose of me saying this was to say, hey, for we need model slash workflow slash all of these things, but um, maybe that is the case. But these are different types. So let me know. I think we do that. I think we do model slash workflow slash, and then the four files for the workflow request, execution, and response. Packages, workflow list. I want to see all the available workflows. I'm going to click into the workflow detail page. I want to be able to send a request for a URL, and then I want to be able to see the results of that and what I've searched in the past. So in the store, we have a base files. Make Redux accessible across the application. Inside of the dump, these dumps are just big object key value pairs. Key is the workflow ID. The value is the workflow itself. Okay, so for dumps, we have workflows, workflow executions. We also need workflow. We do not. We work workflow requests. That would be on the workflow execution. So in the model folder, do we need a? Why do we have a workflow request type on in its own file? Really, the if we're doing the folder though, it's not bad. Because a folder within model represents a collection. So that's why it's a little tricky. It's a little unwanted to have both workflow and workflow execution, because workflow request isn't necessarily um, a type, like a collection. I mean, it could be, but I think it would more so be just stored on the execution. Like on the execution, it would have a request URL and then a request body. So then therefore the workflow request.ts should really be on workflow execution. I think that's how it goes. Okay, so update the dumps based on that. Or actually, it looks like you already have that, so maybe I'll just talk myself. So we have current workflow. We also need current workflow execution. But I guess we can delay that for now. Let's say that. Workflow builder is good. UI flags, Thunks, save workflow thunk, load workflow thunk, delete workflow thunk, set current workflow thunk. These are great. Trigger workflow thunk, that's great. We also need to retrieve the workflow execution thunks, like workflow executions. Again, we should store all these in local storage, so make sure that you're doing that. So we got workflow body param. It's good. Request body, that's good. So we have a workflow with a default body and a workflow execution with a request body. Why do we have two bodies? Okay. What questions do you have? I gotta take my dog out. It's raining though. He is tooting. Okay. I forgot about the app that we were looking for. Okay, well, it gives us the contents. It's not great. Let's see if I can do a more fun thing. Let's do something. What's like a news site? Yahoo News. I have no idea. I was doing something that. Oh, almost dropped my coffee myself. I don't. I don't want to do any of these. Sure, let's do this one. Big shout out to Laura Basis. Sorry if I botched that. See if it gives us more information. Oops, so I have to run this again. So that makes it available. And that'll run and that'll wait for us. And it should give us more content. I think the ESPN, it was just, yeah, I think it has to look specifically for this text or something like that, or this element in the scrape or something. But okay, so that's processing. I hope this, okay, we didn't actually start the code. I thought I was going to break everything. Okay, so let's talk through this. What should this contain? Just the raw response. Yeah, just the raw response for now. Workflow has many workflow executions, each with a body, each with a URL, each with a response. That's correct. But workflow response should be its own type. So we actually need, should it be? Its own slice, its own type. Should it be stored on workflow execution? I feel like that's too much. Unless we store it as like a string, like a raw string or something. What do you think we should do? Because I think I'm erring on the side of having a workflow response type and therefore a collection and therefore a response that has an ID that points to the execution. And also on the execution, having an ID that points to both the workflow and the workflow response. It's just a crux of working with Firebase, these IDs, foreign keys. Sure, those. Let's not come with a little bit more specific to the platform, but that looks good. We can just do all executions forever for right now. So yeah, what other questions you have? Nice. So that's all the content. That's all the stuff from the page. And now I'll do a little bit of work to have these other. Do it all. Just go. And it'll be pretty quick. This one, maybe a little bit of time. It's a lot of files. But I think we'll be good. What are we at? We're at 37 minutes. We're a little long, but we'll get there. See how fast it goes. And that's really the key thing with this coding stuff, this AI coding stuff, is you got to have inspiration for the AI, or I don't know. The tools are so good, maybe you'll be fine, but I think in order to sleep at night over the long term, knowing that your projects, across your projects, the AI written code follows like a structure. Makes it super easy for me to spin up projects such as this. And it's like if I did I'd do it the same exact way as this. I guess I have done it the same exact way as this. That's why I have all these projects in here. Some cloud function backend stuff, and this is a mobile app, but yeah. And I'll go through all the files that are created. But it's just going through Redux right now and creating these files. So store, we have index is just our export folder. Then we have reducer. This is Redux. This is the store. This is the database. This database is made up of a couple different tables. These tables are called workflows, and everything on the left. So that's that. Okay, so this is like the brain of it. Does the brain control where stuff goes, or the heart? Maybe they both do. I guess this is the heart. I don't know, it's one of those. It tells everything where to go, what's accessible, etc. This kind of configures it all together and makes it accessible to your platform. We use this store value inside. I don't know if it's in there yet. Doesn't look like it, but we use it in the Redux provider that you saw before. That Redux provider is going to go either in here, but I think it's in here. I think it's going to wrap around this stuff because this is the root page, but we'll see. We'll see. How's it looking? Yeah, it's still moving. There's the Redux provider. Is that in layout? Okay, yeah, it looks like it's where it is. We have Redux provider, which is a component that we created, and it is a provider which uses the provider input or export from React Redux, which is the Redux library. And we just say everything inside of this provider has access to this Redux store, this database that we've set up, and then everything in the children are going to be all the components that we described, because we have Redux provider here. And inside of N8N dashboard, we're using that here inside of the layout or the layout file, which is like the root. I think it's like the root file. And then we're just, everything inside here, which in the end is just part of the magic. It gets fed the stuff. So back to Redux, we have stored, like I said, types. So these types make it accessible for us to grab data from Redux, and it makes it possible for us to perform actions against Redux. And then it allows us to create functions whose sole responsibility is to deal with data, retrieve data, update data, do all of the what we call the business logic. Right? So you have three separate places for that. There's a fourth place that's not Redux related, which is the API layer, which we kind of get to here. And it's the API is typically the API layer is typically like a set of rules and functions and folders and files and stuff that make it possible for us to talk to the outside world, whether that is our backend or, in this case, a rogue N8N webhook URL. So we have reducer. We have these slices here. These slices fall under a couple different types. Builders control stuff like is there a modal showing? Are we showing a loading icon? This one I don't really follow this convention, but this is theoretically like what are we working on right now. To solve this, I actually use a current slice. So when I look at a workflow and I click on a workflow from the list of workflows, we populate the current workflow slice, and then on that workflow detail page, which is focused on that one that I clicked, we use this to access the data. To populate this current workflow, or really to populate the list of data, the list of workflows that we can execute, we have a workflows dump, which is just an object where the types are a key value pair. On the workflow, we have a workflow ID, which will be generated from Firebase. We store that through here. So anytime we retrieve it, say we click on it from like a related page or something, we can then go easily grab it in Redux and say go and use this in this way. And we have a dump slice for workflows, really any type of data that the user comes across. We have it in a dump slice. And then when they select on it, it goes from dump to the current. The single one that's selected goes from dump to the current. Some unique situations where you might need multiple or something, but that's kind of where the builder then falls into. Then you have like, what are the currently focused IDs? And then, we can go from there. And then Thunks are in charge of, like I said, interacting with Redux. We don't want the front end to touch our database. We want it to, send out a signal and say, hey, I need somebody to, or really we want to say, hey, I know you're in charge of updating the user profile. I want you to go and do that. That's what these Thunks are. So we have a load workflow Thunk, which grabs all of the workflows from local storage and then puts them inside of Redux. We have a set workflows, which returns back that value, which is not ideal, but I won't get into that for now. Okay, so that is Redux. We have workflow, this workflow page. We have this root page here. This, I'm not wait to actually look at it, but in this work page, we have a workflow list and we have a workflow modal. When I click into this workflow list, we're going to grab all the workflows that we've created and create a list from them. And then we're going to loop through them and show a run, edit, and delete button for all of those. Then I'll be able to hit add new, which is going to open up the modal. This is going to inside of, it's going to pass null. So it's going to set the modal is modal open to true. And then this is where I said we should work to use a current slice, but I won't talk about that for now. So yeah, all we're doing is opening the modal or setting this value to true. And then if we go back to here and we have our workflow modal, we can see that this workflow modal interacts directly with this property. And then down here, it's going to show it, I guess, is open, right? So not the best modal logic, but gets the point across. So let's go ahead and check this out. And we're just about done here. So add a workflow, my workflow URL scraper. Webhook URL is going to be, let me try this again. So I'm going to create that workflow. Now, if I come back to here, we can see it's there again. So if I press run, what happens? Request body is going to be, okay, so what I want to do is stop listening, because in that case, I pressed execute workflow. So when this webhook is called, it's going to do it all. What I just want is I just want this to turn on. so that I can see what I'm sending to it, right? So I have that URL. I'm going to do URL, and then I'm going to do this again. And it's going to get, I didn't return anything, so it's yelling at me. And that's because you can see the node executed successfully, but it didn't actually finish here. If it finished, you would see green check marks all over. We just got this workflow webhook, and then we stopped. And I want to do that because we now have URL webhook. Okay, so I just want to make sure that this request hasn't changed at all. Body URL. Okay, so it looks like we're good. So I can do this and then trigger it, and then it should wait. And it looks like we have some execution history, which is nice. An issue right now is I can't really leave this page from like a front end perspective, because then I doubt that the logic is set up to handle it in the back end. It wouldn't be too much, but something to think of. But that's pretty much it. That is, how I would build it. I will click into a workflow. Let me go ahead and do that. Oh, I guess I'm looking at it now. That's what the workflow page is. So we have workflow/ID, which here is workflow/ID. We can see that we have the workflow page and we have the workflow detail page. And you may be wondering, well, why do we have this component? Why are we calling this here? Why don't we just have the workflow detail stuff in here? Is typically, if you were to go look at my other projects, here's where I'll have tabs, and then underneath workflow detail, I'll also have like workflow executions, workflow responses, workflow notes, and stuff like that. And then inside of here, each of these values would then have access to, it says is executing. We would have access to the current tab. We have current tab, and then down here, much like we have here, but underneath all of this logic, I would have like if current tab is detail, then, or let's say it's not detail, then if you just want to return no. And what this is going to do, and I know people are going to not be happy about this, but what this is going to do is all of this logic above the URL, this null return is going to remain rendered. So as I'm switching between tabs, I'm not doing this useEffect 1,000 times. I'm just doing it once and going from there. Now the goal with that is to make sure that your data loading is on point, your data handling is on point, which I think the Redux structure is it helps with that a lot. But yeah, that's kind of how I would extend it, which is why I think it put it in here. So workflow detail page, we can see that it uses so it uses workflows. This is incorrect. Okay, so this is where I need to step in. Okay, so I'm going to share a couple files, just a couple things. So when I click into a workflow, you are, where'd it go? Sorry. Focus, what am I doing here? Page here. Workflow list. Okay, so the link here, what we need to do is const handle open workflow. So we have set current workflow. Let's see, let me close this. Let me save this. Okay. Okay, so we have this open workflow function. Right now you have a link for run, and that takes you to /workflow, workflow ID. That's great. I do want to take the user there, but we need to do some stuff beforehand. So we have a current workflow slice that is not being used right now on the builder. For the current workflow builder, you have like a selected workflow ID. We don't want that. So I need you to take that out. Instead, in the way we track what the document that we're currently working with is through the current X slice. In this case, the current workflow slice. So when I press on run where I press on the workflow card to go to the workflow detail page. I need you to reset the current workflow slice and then set it with the workflow that was selected, like I have it here. And then we open the modal. Again, we shouldn't need to pass anything. Open modal action on the workflow builder slice should be empty parentheses. It should just set it to open. And then we have a closed modal as well. So there's no need to pass null. And then the current workflow detail page, the workflow right now on line 15, which I'm linking, is using the .workflows object to retrieve and the ID from this builder to retrieve the workflow. We just need to do .current workflow, and that's the workflow that we're using. So make sure you update that, and yeah. And I don't know. Oh, I see it's happening before. Okay, I see. I just linked it. I see in the useEffect for the workflow detail page, you're doing this. We don't want to do data retrieval in the useEffect. So take out this useEffect. We need to be calling this set current workflow thunk. So look, it's great that you're doing that. We need to set this current workflow thunk prior to getting here. So instead, the flow you have right now is you set the ID in the builder, you take the user to the workflow detail page, the useEffect in the workflow detail page looks for that ID, and then sets the current workflow, retrieves it from local storage or Redux, and then does the things. Yeah, we just need to be proactive about it. I'd rather have the user wait a second before taking the user to a page, and then the page is just ready, as opposed to taking them there and then doing this useEffect stuff. Beautiful. beautiful. 524. What is that about? Definitely a server issue. 524. Status code. Timeout. Yeah. So this took 2 minutes. Or the whole thing. Interesting. Uh-oh. Okay, we have to wait. Sorry, buddy. We'll go out soon. Oh, I guess it'd be nice to see, huh? Nice. So it's just about done. Workflow uses current workflow. Nice. But the history is not staying. Can you verify that the workflow execution history is also being stored inside of Redux and also local storage? And that we are, when we're calling set current workflow thunk, we are retrieving the workflow executions. Can you verify that that is happening, please? Okay, so let's go look at what it did. Change workflow builder, removed it, fixed the modal, which is good. Given a list, call with no args, handle new run. This maybe isn't correct. Button, that's good. Workflow modal, workflow detail page. Body, the page. Okay, so let's go ahead and check it out. Maybe I can do that. Let me do this. So I press run, that takes me, okay, there we go, detail page. The key is the URL. That's so bright. Okay. Set current workflow. Okay, so that's okay. That's fine. It's saying ideally it's not loaded globally on App Start, but this is a very simple, locally defined app. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, so that's good, and that's running. And let's say I wanted to create another workflow. So what else I got here? So that's reusable. Okay, looks like that returned. Nice. I can't click into it, but ideally I would click an execution history detail page and then be able to parse this into a response. Maybe I'll just flex that real quick. So let's see. Okay, now we have execution history. I need you to create an execution history detail page, which means we need a src/store/current/current, oh, /current/ current workflow execution slice. And then we need an src/app/workflow dash execution slash id page.tsx. So go ahead and create that. You already have anything, just go ahead and do that. And then when I select on a execution history row, it should take me there. And then you need to, for the detail page, you're working the response that you have is an object. You need to parse it so that I can see all of the properties in it in a well-structured way. So go ahead and do that. Yeah, once you get it set up, man, AI is the bee's knees. Okay, so let's see what else I got. Reusable. Scrape the Reddit community. Sweet. Listen for community and config. Okay, so this is expecting something. What is it expecting? It's expecting JSON, a body with a community name. That's all it's expecting. And then I have max items just set at 50. Okay. So I will, same thing, execute this workflow from this webhook. I really got to take my Doge out. Back to workflows. Add a workflow. What is this? Reddit content. Again, I'm using Apify. Webhook is here. I will create that workflow. So now I got two workflows. Very cool. What are some Reddit workflows that I have? Reddit workflows, subreddits. What do we got left? I'll do Anthropic. It is looking for, what was it again? The community. Community name. Community. What did I say? Anthropic. 404 not found. Okay. 404 not found. Why did we not found? What am I missing here? How do I edit? So this is going to be the scraper. Why would that be a 404? Because it's not active? I don't think that would be the case. I'm trying a new URL, a new webhook URL, a new workflow, but I'm getting a 404 not found on that webhook. Why might that be? Okay, so while that's going, let me go back to here, URL scraper, click on success, and looks like, yeah. All right, so not the best because it's tight. I could work on AI. So I think it would be the app layout, or in this case, just the layout. Let's try and reset here. Let me call it quits after this, just for the sake of the video. So test, listen for the test webhook. 13927. Oh, post versus get, maybe? Is it that again? I think it is. Let's quit on y'all. Ooh, let's go. So all we get is that the workflow started. Okay, so I want the whole thing. Webhook. Looks like we're not waiting for that response. This is just updating a Google Sheet that I have. Okay, so this, I won't finish executing this, but it's going to take that URL, scrape it, generate the relevant things, is all generic, and then update Google Sheet with like a terms list. But I would want it to return back to me, so I'd have to update this scraper here to work like that. But that's pretty much it. That's to me about an hour. And I've got all the details up in there. That's that one. I don't want that one. I want the URL scraper. Again, I could just expand this out and then easily turn this into like database information or whatever. So shout out to Laura. Thanks for watching. I'll post this stuff in GitHub so that you can access it and disable these webhooks for you vultures out there. So yeah, peace.